guys, welcome back to chapters 32 and 33 of David Walliams' Gangster Granny. We now know what is really wrong with Granny at this point, and we just need to finish the book. We've got 4 more chapters, so that's 2 days. Let's get started with chapter 32, Family Sandwich. When he finally arrived home, Ben noticed the little brown car was missing from the drive. It was still very early in the morning. Where could his parents have gone at this hour? Nevertheless, he climbed up the drain pipe, through the window, and back into his bedroom. All that clambering was hard work. He was tired after staying up all night, and the wetsuit made him heavier than usual. Ben moved his plumbing weekly aside so he could hide the wetsuit under his bed. Then, as quietly as he could, he put on his pajamas and climbed into bed. Just as he was about to shut his eyes, he heard the car speed up the drive, and the front door open, and then the sound of his mom and dad sobbing uncontrollably. "We've looked everywhere for him," said Dad, sniffling. "I don't know what to do." "It was my own stupid fault," added Mum through her tears. "We should never have entered him in that dance competition. He must have run away from home." "I'll call the police." Yes, we must. We should have done that hours ago." "We have to get the whole country out looking for him." Hello, I need the police, please. It's my son. I can't find him." Ben felt so wretchedly guilty. His parents did care about him after all. Massively. He leapt out of bed, burst open his bedroom door, and ran down the stairs into their arms. Dad dropped the telephone. "Oh, my boy, said Dad. He hugged Ben tighter than he had ever hugged him before. Mum put her arms around her son too, until they were one big family sandwich, with Ben as the filling. "Oh, Ben, thank goodness you're come back," wailed Mum. "Where have you been?" "With Granny," replied Ben, not quite telling the whole truth. She's very ill," he said sadly, but he could see from his parents' faces that it wasn't a surprise to them. "Yes," said his dad, uncomfortably. "I'm afraid that she's—" "I know," said Ben. "I just can't believe you didn't tell me. She's my Granny." "I know," said Dad, "and she's my mom, too. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, son. I didn't want to upset you." Suddenly, Ben could see the pain in his dad's eyes. "That's okay, Dad," he said. "Me and your mom have been up all night looking everywhere for you," added Dad, as he squeezed his son even tighter. "We never would have thought to look for you at Granny's. You always said she was boring." "Well, she's not. She's the best Granny in the world." Dad smiled. "That's sweet, son, but you could still have told us where you were." "I'm sorry. After I let you down so badly at the dancing competition, I didn't think you cared about me." "Care about you?" said Dad, a shocked expression on his face. "We love you." "We love you so much, Ben," added Mum. "You must never think differently. Who cares about a silly dancing competition hosted by TV's Flavio Flavioli? I'm so proud of you, whatever you do." "We both are," said Dad. They were all crying and smiling, and it was hard to know if the tears were happy or sad ones. It didn't really matter. They were probably a mixture of both. "Shall we go to Granny's for a cup of tea?" said Mum. "Yes," said Ben. "That would be nice." "Me and your dad have been talking," said Mum, taking her son's hand in hers. "I found the plumbing magazines." "But," said Ben. "It's all right," continued Mum. "You don't have to be embarrassed. If that's your dream, go for it." "Really?" said Ben. "Yes," chimed in Dad. "We just want you to be happy." "Only," continued Mum, "me and your dad think if the plumbing doesn't work out as a career, it's very important you have something to fall back on." "Fall back on?" asked Ben. He didn't really understand his parents at the best of times, let alone now. "Yes," said Dad. "And we know ballroom dancing isn't your thing." "No," agreed Ben, relieved. "So, how do you feel about ice dancing?" asked Mum. Ben stared at her. For a long moment, Mum just looked straight back at him. Then finally her face cracked and she burst out laughing. And then Dad was laughing too. And even though there were tears still in his eyes and his face, Ben couldn't help joining in. Chapter 33. Silence. After that, things were much better between Ben and his parents. His dad even went to the hardware shop with him and bought him some plumbing tools, and they spent an extremely enjoyable afternoon together taking apart a U-bend. Then, a week before Christmas, the three of them received a call late in the night. A couple of hours later, Ben, Mom, and Dad were gathered around Granny's bed. She was in a hospice, which is where people go when the hospital can't treat them anymore. She didn't have long left to live, hours maybe. The nurses said she could go any time. Ben was sitting anxiously by Granny's bed. Even though she had her eyes closed and didn't seem to be able to speak, sitting in that room with her was an incredibly intense experience. Dad paced up and down at the foot of the bed, unsure of what to do or say. Mum sat looking on, feeling helpless. Ben simply held Granny's hand. He didn't want her to slip away into the darkness alone. They listened to her raspy breathing. It was a horrible sound, but there was only one sound that was worse. Silence. That would mean she was gone. Then, to everyone's surprise, Granny blinked and opened her eyes. She smiled when she saw the three of them. "I'm famished," she said in a weak voice. They reached under her sheets and took out something wrapped in cling film, which she started unpeeling. "What's that?" asked Ben. "It's just a slice of cabbage cake," wheezed Granny. "Honestly, the food here is ghastly." A little later, Mum and Dad went out to get coffee in the vending machine. Ben didn't want to leave Granny's side for 1 second. He reached out and took her hand. It was dry and so light. Granny turned to look at him. She was running out of time. Ben could see that. She winked. "You'll always be my little Benny," she whispered. Ben thought how he used to hate that name. Now he loved it. "I know," he said with a smile, "and you'll always be my Gangsta Granny." Later, after Granny had finally gone, Ben sat quiet in the backseat of his mom and dad's car as they drove home from the hospice. They were all tired from crying. Meanwhile, loads of people were out Christmas shopping. The roads were full of cars, and there was a long queue outside the cinema. Ben couldn't believe life was going on as normal when something so momentous had just happened. The car turned a corner and approached the little parade of shops. "Can I pop into the newsagent, please?" said Ben. "I won't be long." Dad parked the car, and as the light snow was falling, Ben made his way alone into Raj's shop. Ding! Went the bell as the door opened. "Ah, young Ben!" exclaimed Raj. The newsagent seemed to notice the sad look on Ben's face. "Is something the matter?" "Yes, Raj," spluttered Ben. "My granny just died." Somehow saying that made him start crying again. Raj rushed out from behind the counter and gave Ben a big hug. "Oh, Ben, I'm so sorry. I hadn't seen her for a while, and I guessed she wasn't well." "No, and I just wanted to say, Raj," said Ben between sniffs, "thank you so much for telling me off that time. You were right. She wasn't boring at all. She was amazing." "I wasn't trying to tell you off, young man. I just thought you had probably never taken the time to get to know your granny." "You were right. There was so much more to her than I ever imagined." Ben wiped the tears away with his sleeve. Raj began searching the shop. "Now, I have this packet of tissues somewhere. Where are they?" "Oh, yes, just underneath the football stickers. Here you go." The newsagent opened the packet and passed them to Ben. The boy wiped his tears. "Thank you, Raj. Is it 10 packets of tissues for the price of 9?" he said with a smile. "No, no, no," chuckled Raj. 15 packets for the price of 14?" Raj put a hand on Ben's shoulder. "You don't understand," he said. They are on the house." Ben stared. In all the history of the world, Raj had never been known to give anything away for free. It was unheard of. It was madness. It was going to make Ben cry if he wasn't careful. "Thank you so much, Raj," he said, quickly choking up a little. "I'd better get back to my parents. They are waiting outside." "Yes, yes, but just one moment," said Raj. "I have a Christmas present somewhere here for you, Ben." He started rummaging around his cluttered little shop again. "Now, where is it?" Ben's eyes lit up. He loved presents. Yes, yes, it's right here behind the Easter eggs. I found it! Exclaimed Raj as he produced a bag of Murray mints. Ben was a tiny bit disappointed, but he did his best to hide it. Wow, thank you, Raj, said Ben, doing his best school play acting. A whole packet of Murray mints? No, just one mint, said Raj, opening the bag and taking a single Murray mint out before handing it to Ben. They were your granny's absolute favorite. I know, said Ben with a smile. All right, that does it for chapters 32 and 33. We'll find out the end tomorrow as we read chapters 34 and 35. See you then.